Bang! Needs Knives, I'm Jared, and today we're checking out a bunch of SOG knives. Now, it's been a minute since I've had SOG on the channel. I do know that they've recently came out with a lot of really cool stuff that I'm hoping to get on the channel. One knife we do have today that we're going to be showing and talking about, something I'm really excited about, but we're going to check out some of their budget stuff too. Let's get into it. So we are starting it off with the Twitch 3. This is in 154 cm. It is assisted. Now, I know there's a lot of people that are fans of assisted. You know, I'm not one of them. I have a big knife collection. I do think that most people over time, especially after they've handled so many great action manual knives, you tend to want manual. You tend to like manual over assisted. And then there's some other reasons. Some companies use assisted action in order to cut corners. It's just a fact. It's the reason why most gas station knives are assisted. You know, they don't have to tune a detent. They don't have to make sure the action is nice and smooth in the pivot. They don't have to make sure there's perfect clearance or anything like that. But that's not the case for all assisted knives. There are some that are high quality that are done very well. Now, this is a pretty good model. I will say that. It's very, very slim. It does come in an all blacked out version. This one is more expensive though. I found the blacked out version for like $54 on Amazon, but these ones are running about $75 to $80 for this exact version with the silver and the rose gold. Deep carry clip, very, very deep carry clip, and then it is reversible. You can flip it to the other side. Liner lock action, and then we have thumb studs and the flipper tab, which is a very minimal flipper tab. This kind of reminds me of the Leek a little bit, the Kershaw Leek, but it is a very minimal flipper tab, but it is very snappy. I understand why they call it the Twitch. It is, you just breathe on that action and it flies out. Now, there is a lock just in case if you're worried about it opening up in the pocket. You can, you know, put that, you know, engage that right here. So you can engage it up like that. Now I can't open it. Now, as far as, yeah, it doesn't prevent you. It'll prevent you from shutting the knife all the way, but it won't prevent it from disengaging. 154 cm, great steel. I like the steel. I like to see SOG using that steel. And I think this steel falls in line, you know, between the $50 and $75 range. So there, and even more sometimes. But nice strong lockup. It does feel very solid and it is easy to disengage. My only real negatives are, you know, I don't like T6s, but, you know, I know a lot of companies like this use them. The only real negative I have is that, you know, I'm not, like I said, I'm not a fan of assisted. The price feels a little bit high for this version exactly. I think the black one is in a great price range. I think it's perfect for that price range. But I'll say this, if you like assisted action knives, that's a good one to check out. Now, this next one is a manual action knife, and I actually really like this one. So this one is the Diverge XR with the XR locking system, which is a crossbar lock. But I will say, SOG, you know, after they got bought, after SOG got bought by GSM, they really went through and did a lot of changes to their models, to a lot of different things. One being, you know, they introduced the XR lock, which is a crossbar lock, but man, they did it well, like extremely well. They were capable of making an actual rapid opening detent. This is a flipper tab with a crossbar lock, which you don't typically see. I know Benchmade for the first time, at least from what I understand, the first time is coming out with one this year. But other than that, not very many companies have done a crossbar lock and a flipper tab. So that's pretty amazing. And it does have a pretty solid detent. Sheep's foot blade with the D2 steel. It's got this, I don't even know what you call the coating. It's probably a Cerakote or something, but it almost has like a brass look. Then we have this baby blue, almost a Tiffany blue handle. And you can see the gold accents. Love that. Nice deep carry clip. Just like the Twitch, it is reversible. Pretty much the same clip. And Crossbar locks are known for just being very, very strong locking systems, or at least have the potential to be, and this one feels very, very solid, while also being very slim and slicey, which is something I can appreciate. The jimping is nice and sharp, feels very aggressive in a good way. The crossbar lock, or the XR lock, is very easy to disengage. It has nice texturing on it, super duper smooth. And you know, it being so thin, so lightweight, kind of like the Twitch, you know, it's super thin, super lightweight, using aluminum handles. You know, it has great materials, D2 steel, not a bad steel as long as it's, you know, as long as the heat treatment's at least decent. I know, you know, I don't expect, it does say cryo D2, but I don't expect, you know, mass production companies to be doing D2 quite the way it can be done, you know, but as long as they can get it pretty consistent, I'm happy with it. As far as this one goes, I don't have any negatives. Sharpening tool and plunge grind's good. I forgot to check that on this one. Yeah, that's the one other thing I could have said about this one. The plunge grind could have been better. They could put a little bzz right in there, separate it. I think the guys buying this probably won't care as much. But with this one they did a pretty decent job. Yeah, I don't really have anything. T6s. I wish they were T8s. But yeah, let's get to the next one. Now the next one, I'm not the biggest fan of, and I'm going to explain why. And you can see this is the Escape ATK 2.0, another assisted knife. One, not a big fan of partial serrations. I want full serrated or no serrations. I prefer just no serrations, but I do think that there is a lot of knives out there that should be serrated. But, you know, this personally just wouldn't be one of them for me. AUS 8 steel, not a fan of that steel, especially for, you know, the $50+ range, which I think that's where this is at, is like right around the $55 range. That to me in 2025 is, you know, think of HCR, right? It's a $20 steel to me. That's where it belongs. And this feels like a $20 knife. It has a glass breaker on the back. I'm not sure how functional it is. A belt cutter. I've tested that out. It did not work out. And this is not a seat belt. This is very, very thin, you know, just a cheap backpack. It does have new blades underneath this piece right here. It says it right there. So you can remove this and get to that. The jimping on the flipper tab is good, and the assisted action obviously takes over. It is a touchy action, so you know, you just, like I said, breathe on it and it'll open up. Now it does have the locking system once again, where you can lock it so you can't open it up in your pocket. I tend to not like those because I accidentally engage them, and then when I go to open it, I wind up hurting, you know, like not hurting, but, you know, winds up being annoying to open. The ergonomics on this is where it falls apart for me the most, because my fingers pinch around right here. It might be just my hand, but I mean, I'm literally getting hit in the bone here and here, and it's just uncomfortable. I can manipulate my hands to go around it, but nothing feels as secure as the way I want to do it. So it just doesn't work in my hand. It does have a liner lock. Fairly solid. Yeah, it feels pretty solid. Yeah, you know, it just is what it is. Like I said, the belt cutter kind of got it for me, because to me, it's like, why do so many tools? I understand a glass breaker to some extent. This is supposed to be like a rescue knife or an escape knife, but if you're going to do it well. You know, this is just not a very good belt cutter, or it's just, you know, not sharpened properly. I don't know. It's never been used aside from me doing that little bit of testing. It's not like, you know, it was abused beforehand or anything like that. You'd think the first time it was able to be used, it'd work. And to me, it's like, why would you need this if you have this? That's my big thing. I don't understand this when you have this, because you just, you know, rip it right through. But, you know, teach their own. Now, I do understand the glass breaker. I'm not sure how good this one is. It looks like a carbide tip. I think ceramic is better to do if you can. But these little liners right here do kind of poke out. I mean, I guess you could use it for a lanyard if you really wanted to. Aluminum handles, which I do think is cool. This overlay is like what's it called? Reinforced glass nylon or whatever it's called. But yeah, you know, to me, it's something I personally wouldn't recommend. Now, let's get to the next one. So this next one is actually pretty cool. This is a Mikel Williamson design. I've had a bunch of his knives on the channel before, and it is in D2 steel, and it is a steel frame lock. It has this cutout on both sides, so it kind of matches, you know, where, you know, you got the steel body. It is a nice thick steel frame lock riding on bearings. Good detent. You have a hole deployment too that you can use. This feels more of like a modern knife to me. I like this taper right here. It tapers really nice in the hand. It feels really good. Pretty comfortable. The clip, I hate the clip, but you know, it does have a clip, so I'm happy about that. Blue micarta. Blue micarta scales next to the steel liners, and then we have a robust blade that's still going to be plenty slicey for most people. Sharpening tool and plunge grind is an issue for me. I wish that that had a separation, especially with a blacked out coating, so when I sharpen, I don't wind up hitting all into here, and then, you know, have all the issues that comes with not having a choil, especially if you're going to have it as a user. And you're going to want to make sure your edge stays nice and sharp. You know, this is something you're going to sharpen pretty often. So, you know, after a year or so, you should be a few sharpenings in if you're using it. So, you know, in that case, I don't want it recurving. I don't want it hitting the you know, the plunge grind. You know, just all those little issues. I would just take a Dremel and go bzzz right in there. I do notice there is a dual grind here. So at the tip, we have a separate flat grind. I love this swedge. The blade does look really aggressive. I like the way the blade looks. This is a highly functional blade. You can use it for utility cuts. You can cut down on flat surfaces. Absolutely slice with it. You could cut backwards towards yourself. Gas station knife fighting grip feels really good. This cap off spot is really nice. Access to the lock bar could be better. There's a chamfer on one side. It is easy to get past the detent though. Nice strong detent. I do like that. A little side to side, but that's probably just a little tightening of the pivot. That's not a big deal, so you know, don't consider that. That'd probably fix the centering too. I have no doubt. This is pretty good. I like this one. Like I said, there's a couple little nitpicks and negatives. Like I said, the clip is just so ungodly tight. It doesn't even make sense. It is redonkulously tight. Yeah, I know that they were trying to figure out a way to do it because this surface is horrible to have a clip on, especially a clip like this that's so damn tight. Figure out a way to do a clip where, you know, it's not as tight, man. It's just not loose, but where it has a lot of bend to it, a lot of spring. So that last one was the Bulwark by Mikel Williamson. Now this next one is a USA made knife. Love to see it in Magnacut steel and titanium. We got the Seal XR tie. It has titanium liners, and we'll talk about why that is awesome here in 1 second. But this is one of the strongest detents I've ever felt on a crossbar lock. This thing just hammers out there. I love the action of this thing, and this is what I mean when you can do good action manually what do you need an assist for? Now I understand some people have, you know, issues, you know, with, you know, finger function, stuff like that. So I do get why there are some people that love it. I'm not trying to take that away. But this is a beautiful clip point buoy style blade. I'd love to see this in a spear point, but clip point buoy style blade, a straight clip point, yeah, straight clip point, which are my favorites because it allows you to get the tip, you know, a lot better rather than the tip being up high. The belly, lots of belly so you can cut down on a flat surface, but big, thick blade, very thick, very robust geometry with Magnacut steel, which is an extremely, extremely tough steel. Magnacut really fast. So Magnacut steel, let's talk about it. Magnacut steel, very, very corrosion resistant. It's like a number 9 out of 10. It is just under LC200N and Vanex, which are going to be the most corrosion resistant steels. It's pretty close to them, not quite, but really close. So it's going to be a phenomenal steel for water use and just stuff that you're going to get, you know, a corroded knife from. 2, the edge retention is amazing. You know, personally for me, I've tested so much Magnacut. Magnacut, when it's ran at a good HRC, which seems to be 63 to 64, especially on folding knives, right? Pocket knives. Now, if it's a big chopper fixed blade, maybe 62. But really, you know, 61, 62, I say just play with the geometry, right? If you want it super tough, thicken the geometry a little bit. And that's in this case, that's what they did. But I would say you want to see it around 63, 64 to get the most out of the edge retention and also get the most out of the sharpenability, because Magnacut steel is leaps and bounds above what it is when it's at like 58 to 60. Like just the way it sharpens up is so much better. The edge retention goes up. And speaking of the edge retention, I would say it's like I want to say like a 7 out of 10, but I know it's like rated like a 5.5 to 6 out of 10. But man, I've sharpened some really good Magnacut that's just phenomenal, but takes a really good edge, takes a good polished edge, and holds a good polished edge as long as it's in a good HRC and a good heat treatment, by the way. So it has to be a good heat treatment and, you know, good HRC. But if you hit all those, yes, it takes a phenomenal polished edge. Otherwise, if it winds up being on the softer side, you're going to want a medium grit. Now, like any steel that takes a good polish, the lower the angle, the better it's going to turn out. Like I said, its edge retention is really good. Honing and stropping, it strops and hones back extremely, extremely well. And then its toughness is through the roof. Phenomenal toughness. So, you know, it's a steel that if you're wanting some tough use, or if you're wanting a very slicey knife that holds some toughness, you know, that might be the steel to kind of pick. I know I picked Magnacut between 63 and 64 for one of my designs that's about to drop right now. I believe, I'm not 100%, but I believe Hogue is making these for them. We have so this is the thing. So technically, there's titanium liners under there. But the scales are FRN still. The glass reinforced nylon. So it still has FRN scales. And I like how it comes with the extra little parts right there for these guys, the little finger studs. But yeah, it's just, you know, FRN. Nothing spectacular there. I kind of wish they would have upped that since they were doing titanium liners. It'd been cool if this whole thing was titanium. Or, you know, if that's just going a little extreme, then maybe aluminum, I don't know. Just something, you know, to up it just a little bit. But we have a titanium backspacer, titanium jimped out to the max back liners. Then over here, this is part of the FRN. It's very, you can see this thing has jimping on top of its jimping. Its jimping has jimping. But you got an attitude adjuster back there, you know, something to maybe move something or, you know, hit something, which this is going to be, you know, very durable, being titanium. Then you have a hex head right there that you could use for whatever reason. I think you might be able to use it. I'm not sure. I haven't tried to put a bit in there, but that's what it looks like. Maybe it's just the way to take it off. This is not titanium though, which kind of baffled me. I didn't even think this was titanium because I first checked this. I was like, oh, that's not tie. Then I checked the liners. I was like, oh, wow, it's the liners that are tie. All right, why is the titanium awesome on this as the liners. So one, titanium is corrosion proof, basically. I mean, it is very, very, very corrosion resistant. So you're not going to ever have to worry about corrosion, period, because it doesn't have iron in it. It doesn't have steel. So you're not going to worry about rust for sure. It's not going to rust. It does have a little bit of corrosion, but it's not like, you know, anything bad. So, you know, you're not going to have to worry about salt water and just water, period. You know, it's going to be something that's going to be very durable. It's lighter weight than steel, while being, in many cases, stronger than steel, but at the very least, a 1-to-1 in strength, but it beats it in weight. So it is much, much lighter. So you're going to get basically the same strength, if not stronger, for lighter weight and better corrosion resistance. It is a more expensive material, so it can be, you know, pretty expensive, but, you know, and it's only because it's more difficult to machine and everything else, but it is a higher quality material in a lot of cases, not in all, but in a lot of cases for certain, you know, things. And this could be one of them, seeing as that it is somewhat of a tactical knife, something that you might see in some nasty, nasty environments. And also, you know, like I said, it brings down the weight. That's why I'm surprised they didn't do the titanium clip here. Not just because of that, but, you know, since it is the Thai model, that would have been really cool. So we have the crossbar lock, very grippy and very easy to close and open with them. The flipper tab is big, but it's amazing. This is a phenomenal flipping action. Because one, it has this great texturing and just the angle, you can push button it, light switch it. And man, just that detent is strong, boy, I love it. I love it, love it, love it. It just feels so reassuring that this thing is going to crank out there when you open it. And then on top of that, the crossbar, being as strong and as durable as it is, this thing is a damn bank vault. Like, I love it, especially with this thick of a blade, because if you're going to have a thick blade like this, you better have a strong lock, because it doesn't make sense to have geometry like this without a strong lock. It just doesn't, not unless if it's a fixed blade. But the flipper tab also acts as, you know, a finger guard, but then you can choke up if you needed to, which is really good. This thing would work for, you know, tactical use, hard use, basically just about everything. You could even use this for outdoor stuff, especially, you know, being Magnacut. Now, I will say this, very, very good edge. I thought about, I'm not saying I'm going to do this, but I thought about, because I think this would be nasty cool, getting a deep hollow grind put on here. Getting a nice choil put in here, so just bzzz, separated just a little bit from the plunge, and then have a nice deep hollow put in there. Oh my goodness. With that thick blade, it would just, one, it would slice a lot better. Two, every time you sharpen it, it's not going to get dramatically thicker. Now, I don't want to be too dramatic. Not dramatically, but it's not going to get thicker. It'll stay around the same thickness. In this case, every time you sharpen it, it will get thicker. Especially, you know, the first time when you lower back the edge bevel, the bevel's going to be nice and big. But if you had a hollow grind, it wouldn't. At least not too dramatic. But yes, like I said, they would just have better cutting performance and so on. And being Magnacut, being such a tough steel, you know, I'd love to see it. But so ergonomic, just an absolute beast of a knife. It feels like a knife that wants to be used hard. And, you know, SOG, like I said, they are doing, this has been out for a couple years, maybe not this exact version, but, you know, with the Magnacut and the Thai, but this model, the seal, has been out for a while, and, you know, it's been popular. And I think that some of the knives that SOG's coming out with, I think they have a lot of potential to be possibly considered a good premium brand. I need to try them to really, really tell you guys that or not. Judging by this, I would say that yes, that's definitely in the possibilities. But, you know, after we try maybe some of their other ones, then we'll really be able to say, are they going to be able to compete with some of these other companies that are in the same price range? Or are they going to be mediocre at best for the same price? You know, because we do see a lot of companies like that. And, you know, SOG, their history, they have had that. Now, they have been bought, so I don't want to make it seem like it's GSM. GSM is a completely different company, and since they've gotten it, they have massively improved from their quality control, their fit finish, their action, just their knives in general, just period. Their designs, everything. So, shout out to them for putting in some good work. Like I said, hopefully we are able to get some of that new stuff on the channel, because that would be spectacular. There you guys go. I have no complaints on this one. The only thing is T6s. I wish they were T8s. Other than that, oh yeah, it's choil. You know, choil could be better. You know, just make a little bit bigger separation. That way, you know, you're not going to hit this when you go to sharpen it or hit the plunge grind. It wouldn't be that big either. So it'd like be a very little difference than what you see right there. But other than that, man, the clip is tight and it's on a grippy surface. But, you know, being as big of a knife it is for the reasons it's made for, I'm not mad at it. You know, I understand. You don't want to lose this. And you're not gonna, you know, with the texture and everything. Not saying it's like super aggressive. I don't want to make it seem like it's like tearing your pockets. I just mean it hangs on, which is good. So there you guys go. Work hard. Stay tough. Till next time. Peace.